What's going on, my friends? Thanks for giving me a shout out. It's great to see all you guys on here. Best thing about Restream is it lets you cut in some music while you're getting everything set up. If you jump from meeting to meeting like I do, is my video stream right? Is my audio right? Is everything going okay? Good to see you guys on here. Nick, hygienist, what's going on, my good friend? It's been way too long. We gotta catch up. Matt's checking in. Mark, Matthias, what's going on, my friend? Will Young, Derek, Gabriel, mahalo, my friend, out in the awesome state of Hawaii. It's good to be with you guys today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to talk about something I think is probably pretty standard, but we also assume it. And we should stop doing that. So I'm going to lead into that in just a minute. But one of the things I did want to say is really glad you guys are with me today. And if you haven't seen what we're doing at Empath Cyber, definitely give that a check. There's a bunch of Empath Cyber members that are on right now. If you're considering joining and want to know more, just reach out and let me know. I'd love to show you what it's all about. I'm actually going to give you a quick sneak peek here in a minute. Bob, great to see you on as well, my friend. Hope you're doing well as well. I think you're out on the Pacific side, so it's morning still for you, but it is afternoon for me, but not too late for coffee, I'll tell you that. So here's what we're going to talk about. My brother-in-law was in this past week, and LinkedIn user, looks like that's Lisa. Hey Lisa, great to see you on. And he's a karate owner, all right, and he owns a bunch of karate businesses. He's really successful at it. He's a brilliant, super smart dude, and he goes to these conferences run by what I jokingly call the Gary Pika of karate. He teaches these karate owners how to build a sustainable business and what price modeling is and how to, increase your sales and grow your company, right? He's sort of the OG in all of this. And so he does these in Tampa. He actually lives really close to me, this coaching guy. Oh, the music is still playing. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. Pop that away. Thank you. He was at the conference this week and he came back to me, and in the middle of the conference, he's like, Wes, he's like, you got to see this thing. It's a game changer. I'm like, well, what is it? I text him back and he sends me a link to ChatGPT. He's like, oh my gosh, this is going to change my company. He's like, I'm live texting you right now. He said, my coach at the conference is on the main stage and he's showing ChatGPT. And all I did was I sent him back 2 of my YouTube videos where I covered ChatGPT. And he's like, oh, so you already know about it. He's like, I should have assumed you know. But then a thought went in my brain, which was, wait a second, I should have been the one to let him know. Dang it. Why is it that I let his business coach guy, who's not a technology dude at all, be the first to show him the power of ChatGPT? Derek likes that music. Let's kick it back up just a little bit. I'll turn it down though. I see it's kind of chill, right? It's called lo-fi. And I'm with you, Derek. I like it. And and the Heyo karate chop, right? I'm gonna do that next week with Gary at Schnizzfest. It's gonna be fun. So my point is, we often make assumptions because we're so close to technology. Most of you that are on this live stream have probably already used ChatGPT. You've dove into it. You know about it. You have an account. But I wonder, and give me some comments back in chat, how many of you have actually proactively talked to your clients about it? And keep in mind, this is less about ChatGPT and more about this ethos of, are we doing a good job staying in front of our clients when it comes to really cool technology? Are we the thought leader, or are we letting some business person that's not even in our industry be the one to blow their mind on cool tech or things that impact their business for the better? So give me some thoughts on this, because I want to know what you guys think about this, because my view is that we miss this sometimes and we don't actually get in front of our clients with things that make them go, dude, that is super cool. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for giving me some really cool ideas. And I think ChatGPT is an opportunity right here in front of your face to do exactly that. Aaron Peters says, questioned if they were working with it in their marketing team. Yeah, awesome. And so Aaron, I'm curious what you got back out of that. Did you hear back from them, and did they say, yeah, we're using it now, or no, teach me more, or no, I've never heard of it? Give me some feedback on what you got out of it and what they got about it. So that's what we're going to lead with today. Again, not really ChatGPT, but we're going to lead with how to be relevant and how to use something like ChatGPT or other things to stay relevant in front of your clients. and not to just assume that they know things, because for us, it's old hat, right? We've been talking about ChatGPT for a month now. It's like, can we move to something new? Not for them. They've probably never heard of it before. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So one thing I did want to do, if you haven't seen ChatGPT, I'm gonna show it to you real quick. Let me get off the chat overlay so we can get a better screen here. If you haven't seen Empath Cyber, I wanted to give you a peek into this real quick. So Empath Cyber is super cool. It's something new that I've created out of my heart to really help MSPs in their journey in cybersecurity. And it's got some amazing stuff in it. It's got some really cool cutting edge courses that all exist that teach you some amazing things like, hey, I'm brand new to my MSP and I'm trying to get onboarded into all these security terms and I don't know what those terms are and how to make them relevant. I've got a course specifically on that. It teaches you every little piece out of all of that. I've got a course on cyber insurance. You've been trying to figure out this cyber insurance journey. I've got a course on this. Everything we have is video driven, so very easy to consume and use. I've got some really cool courses on how to create an MSP cyber event. Tomorrow, we're going to do an event on that inside Empath Cyber. So if you're a member, check that out. If not, reach out to me. We've got a course on the birds and the bees, which is really, really cool. So this is all about how to have a difficult conversation with a client when you need to. And it's awkward, the first time you do it, but it gets easier. I've got tons of video content as well around specific things like I'll show you some client-focused content that really help you accelerate your game. So like things like, for cybersecurity misperceptions, right? When you're dealing with things that clients often say, like, I'm not a target. No one's coming after me. I've got video content not for you, but for your clients that can just help you open up conversations and really get them chatting and communicating and moving forward. So tons of stuff in Empath Cyber, as well as live events that we do all the time. Ask Me Anythings. Tomorrow's event on how to host your very first ever client event, how to do a wine in cyber or a ladies in cyber, a golf outing event or something like that you can work with your clients on and really move your agenda forward. So take a peek at that, because super, super cool, and would love to show it to you. Okay, so now that I've done that, what I want to do is I actually want to jump in a little differently here, and let's talk about how we can stay relevant with our clients. So if you're just joining us, one of the things that we've been talking about is, what do we do? Like we oftentimes assume that we know technology, and because we know it, everybody knows it. And we assume that our clients should know it. And sometimes we miss obvious opportunities to get in front of a client. So let's talk about some of that, right? Let's do that. So ChatGPT, we've been talking about ChatGPT for over a month now. I realize that, bear with me. But one of the things I wanted to do with ChatGPT today is, let me make my screen a little skinnier so we can see a little bit better. Hopefully this will work. I may change the outlook. We've been doing fun things. Like if you've watched any of my other live streams I did with Jimmy last week on getting ChatGPT to do some hacking kind of stuff, send out like a phishing email, write me some code to encrypt machines and how to do some things like that, right? But what we haven't done is we haven't really talked about how do we make this relevant for someone that's out there. So I literally haven't tried this at all, okay? But I copy pasted a couple ideas of things I wanted to ask. Let's say that you're in that karate business, right? Remember, I led in, if you just joined us, I led in, my brother-in-law was at a karate like a trade show and teaching education event, and they showed on the main stage the power of ChatGPT. So let's throw this one in there. Write me 3 reasons why parents should consider karate for their children. I don't know really anything about karate other than I'm sure it's good for exercise. Yeah, there you go. Physical fitness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as this goes through, I'm not going to read every piece of it, but you see how this could be relevant. You see how you could actually use this with clients to say, hey, one of the things you probably struggle with is not the knowledge with your own clients, but how do you get through it quicker? What if you had a shortcut? Now, are these 3 posts right here, these 3 points, enough for you to send out in an email campaign? Probably not. You probably need to embellish. You probably need to add some things, right? But isn't this cool as a starting point? What if you had this, Miss Client, and you use this as a way to move things forward faster, to give you shortcuts to getting content out there? What I've learned when it comes to a lot of marketing and client outreach is many businesses, it's not that they don't know how, it's just that they don't have time for it. They got too many other burning fires. So what if you use something like this to help accelerate that? Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be helpful? So let's take some other ideas. In fact, you guys give me some ideas in chat. Give me an idea of something you could use to ask. I'm just going to write one myself though. Let's do one. Let's pretend we're a CPA firm. So as a CPA firm, give me 3 reasons why someone should switch accountants in 2023. Because it's tax season, right? So let's say you have a CPA firm. It makes a lot of sense that like this could be game changing for them, right? They can probably, oh yeah, I know why they ought to switch. But what if we just use ChatGPT to accelerate that, right? Or maybe use it as blog posts ideas, right? Or email templates that they can use. But you see how this can be effective to like go to your clients and tweak this technology into things that make a difference for them because it impacts their business. Hope that makes sense. And I guess ChatGPT just simply wants to fall apart right now. It does this occasionally under heavy load. Well, it's a mystery. Maybe it's the one question in this world that stumped it, right? So I'm going to get back to some comments here because I saw some really good ones that came in. Matt said directly a few. So talking to his clients, we plans for blogs and video on social. I did show my dad who turned around and took it into his office and immediately found applications for it and saw how it could provide value in the industry. You nailed it, Matt. That's exactly right, my friend. That's exactly how we should be using these kinds of things to get them to be like, whoa, this is relevant. Thank you, as my MSP, for showing me something awesome that really makes life better. So really, really, really good stuff. Jim Ashby, my good friend Jim, he says, I think it's often that unless we have a direct marketing strategy, it seems that it's unimportant. Yeah, for sure. And let's see, Mark, why? Okay, here's a good one. So why a business owner should have cyber insurance. So I actually did this one previously, Mark, and I got some really good points back from it. So as soon as this is done, we'll run that one because I think that's a great one, right? Cyber insurance is in front of everybody. And if you need cyber insurance, you're thinking about it, Fifth Wall, go reach out to us. fifthwallsolutions.com will help you and your clients through that journey. And then one other one, what are the new regulations for FTC for 2023? Now that might trick it, Aaron, because I think a lot of its models are built for 2022 is when they built the models, but I'm curious to see what it says. So it may be a bit outdated, but maybe you knew that. You're trying to get this going. We're going to find out. So let's do this. So let's say you're sitting down with a client and you're like, let's talk about insurance and everyone needs cyber insurance. You know that. Well, how do you make that relevant to them, right? So why should a business owner have cyber insurance? I totally misspelled that, I think, but whatevs. I'm sure ChatGPT is smart enough to know what I meant, and clearly it is. So there you go. So it's giving me some answers. And again, we're not going to unpack this today. It's not the point. But I'm sure it's a good starting point. Actually, let's just take the headlines, right? The attacks are becoming more frequent, 100%. Compliance requirements, yep, that's a big deal for clients to have to solve for that. Reputation damage, that's a big deal. If you're not going to deal with the breach well enough, it could shut your business down or cause a significant amount of lost revenue. Yep. Cost of recovery and investigation. Yep. So it nailed it, right? So again, you can use this to expand upon it. So I encourage you in your client conversations, talk to them in your next QBR, bring up ChatGPT, not because it's the coolest tool that's like a game changer, but because it can be relevant to them in their business. Don't assume that they know about this. Don't assume that they're using this. Okay. All right. We got to try out Aaron's. So here we go. We're going to pop this one in. What are the new regulations from the FTC for 2023? Let's see what it says. Yep, there you go. So don't have the information for FTC 2020. His knowledge cutoff is 2021. So yep. So Aaron, I think you knew that. And that's ChatGPT is not going to be perfect for everything, right? They're going to have to update their data models to include 2023. So or new stuff, right? So there you go. I just wanted to show that as an example. So what are some other tools that are out there that might shock a business owner that they're like, I didn't know about this. Thank you for showing. Well, while we're on the hills of like AI driven stuff. Yeah, here he goes. Aaron's like, ha. I was playing around again on the karate side of the house, right? maybe it's great. Maybe you'd love to have some more information, some content that you can add to share that you don't have to go find licensing data for and things like that, right? So talking about karate, going back to the original beginning of this, what if you show the business owner, I typed into Dolly. So Dolly is also run by OpenAI, which is sort of like an open source image generation tool. So I told it to create a cartoon of kids performing karate. Look what I got. Like, these are usable. Like, you could totally use this in like an email, template, something like that, right? So again, use these tools that are available. So what about, let's go back to the CPA firm. Can anyone think of something interesting that a CPA would want to use Dolly for? Maybe a drawing of a client struggling with taxes. I'm just going live here. I have no idea what's going to show me, right? So this will take a minute for it to generate. But again, the reason is, let's not assume they know technology that can make their life better. So maybe you could do anything from me showing this in QBRs to hosting your own live stream like I'm doing, like top 3 technologies that can change your business. You could do this in Chamber of Commerce events, right? There are lots of opportunities that exist around all of this that could be really helpful and useful, that I just think we're not seizing upon as MSPs. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. So Mark, I mentioned frustrated taxpayer, which is pretty much what I just typed in. I think you read my mind on this, Mark. So let's see. Yep. Okay. Here's what we get. Now, keep in mind, it's all AI driven. So you never know exactly what you're going to get. Like this one, it's almost like a dream. You have those fuzzy dreams. You don't know exactly what we're looking at. Something happened with his nose. I think this guy like punched him in the face and he's got a bloody nose. I don't know. Let's see what else we have. Tax Tave. I don't know. This one's probably a lot better. In fact, I like this one a lot. Her hand went a little crazy, and her nose is a little crazy, but overall, it's a fairly good image. So I guess it's like Kamikaze or something, or Harry Carey. I don't know. But anyway, these are fun. You might want to like prepend and try a few of these. It does store your history, so you can go back and find these. But that's another one that I think is fun to play with and could potentially be, when you ask it the right things, could potentially be really helpful. Is something they go, that's cool. I didn't know about that. Thank you for teaching me something that's really cool. Another one that you might have heard of before is called Writer. Actually, you probably haven't heard of Writer. So Writer is really interesting. It's rytr.me. And I ran across this one in just doing some research. This one's kind of like ChatGPT. The only difference is you can add a few more things to it that can be pretty helpful. And so I'm going to show you some examples of this. I originally had it. In fact, let me just copy this topic. And we're just going to go back to here and we're going to do a new document. So there we go. So here's the idea. So you're talking to a CPA firm, thinking about moving to a new CPA. Here's the reasons why you should switch accountants in 2023. Kind of similar to what I did just before. I'm going to give it 3 variants and the creativity level. Let's go. Initially, I was like medium because this is like taxes and boring stuff. Let's go a little bit more creative. You can play with its creativity level here, and then we just say, write for me. So again, it's going to be a lot like ChatGPT, and it's going to give us some stuff. But there's a couple of things that are kind of neat out of this one. Is because I told this one to get a little bit more creative, and because I gave it 3 different options, it gives us option 1, option 2, option 3. So now you have writing prompts. Oh, and by the way, I told it to do a blog section writing, right? So you can also do other things like outlines, brand names, business idea pitches, which is probably a terrible idea if your whole business pitch was based upon, or business idea was based upon AI. Oh, geez, that's not going to be good for you. Call to actions. So there's a lot of things that are in here, right? There's tons. And I really do, I encourage you to explore these and take a look at all the different options. I know the screen's cutting off on part of it, but you get the idea, and you can go to Writer and see. So then what you can do is you can take each of these and you can say, man, this sentence right here is pretty good. But what I want you to do is I want you to rephrase this one a little bit. So it's going to tell it to go, okay, you just want, so there it did. It live rephrased it for me. I got to fix the space there. So this is a kind of an interesting one. And then you could say, oh, this sentence right here is okay. But what I really want to do is I can either improve it or I can continue writing. So let's auto write. Let's add another sentence in that same line of thought. So you see what it's doing? Now you are still going to have to take a look at this and say, does it make any amount of sense, or is it just a bunch of AI cobbled together stuff? But my point is, this could be a boost. It could really help you in a lot of ways that get you going. Let's go back, and instead of doing a blog section, let's do an email, right? So what should the email be about? Let's go back to Aaron Peters on his idea. Let's test the whole regulations thing. So what are the new regulations from the FTC for 2023? Give me some ideas that my clients will want to read and respond to. Okay, there we go. See what it gives me. It's probably good that I have high creativity level because I don't know what this one's going to do because it's so new and cutting edge. Okay, there we go. So again, I'm not going to go pretend that I'm fully up to date with all FTC's new rules for 2023, right? So I don't know how good this is, but you see the point. The point is these could be really helpful tools that your business owners may not know about and could be really, really useful. Jim had one in here. Let me take a look at what Jim said. If I get my mouse, come back mouse, where did you go? Why can I not click? There we go. What is the largest inter-various industry cyber attack to date? How much did it cost the firm? That's a really cool one. In fact, I'd like to do that one in ChatGPT. That's a good one. So what is the largest healthcare cyber attack to date, and how much did it cost them? So yeah, let's see what it does. Again, 2021 data. So anything new is potentially going to miss it. So it's going to WannaCry in 2017. Probably fairly accurate. That probably is the one. So yeah, you see how these can be really helpful and really useful. Really encourage you to use these things. Okay, so now that I want to get off tools for a minute, and we're still talking relevance, right? So if you're just joining us today, what we're talking about is not ChatGPT as a whole. We're talking about how do we be relevant with our clients. We're talking about how do we make sure that we're not missing opportunities to be in front of them, to get them to understand, to get them to care, and ultimately to look at us as a thought leader, to look at us as someone that's like, whoa, you're crazy helpful. Thank you for showing me some of these things. So we shared some tools. But another thing I want to do is I want to share some websites with you, some of my favorite places that I like to go to. I'm a big fan of aggregating news and just looking at the world around us and then picking different news articles, literally picking them out and saying, this one would be useful for you. This one would be useful for you. And here's why. And the reason I learned this was in my banking days. This is how I got my bank to understand, like my board, especially to care about cybersecurity. I would oftentimes take news articles that are bank related and just share them, especially in a live meeting. I want to show you this article. I thought it was really interesting because of this, this, and this. What do you guys think? Force them to talk. No agenda, just showing. And over time, it really seemed to get their attention and their buy-in to why security was so important. So how can we do that? Well, let's take a look. So a couple of things. I'm going to share a few different websites out that I am a big fan of. One of them is Reuters. I really like Reuters a lot because it does a good job with, let me stretch here. There we go. It does a really good job with aggregating some really good news events over the past few months. And one of the challenges that exists when you're trying to find news articles is that news websites want to news, right? In other words, what they want to do is they want to just share the newest stuff. And it's hard to say, well, what were the trending top articles over the past month? It's hard to actually find websites that do that, right? And so if you're not looking every single day, you might miss some relevant news articles that no longer are in the news of late. And so so here's why I like Reuters Momentum is this part of their page. And if you want to see this, just search Reuters Momentum is how you can get there. But this part of their page is an aggregation of data. And so you can see kind of the top one. So here's one that's really interesting. Roblox says policing the virtual world is like shutting down speakeasy. In other words, we can't do that. As the owners of Roblox, it's organic, you create your own games. We can't shut everything down. It's like trying to stop a speakeasy in the 20s. It literally is impossible. Why try? That's what he says. So this, in my mind, brings up some interesting points that could be useful to my clients. I'm going to pause for a minute. Does anyone reading my brain of how this could be useful as a news article and a topic that you could talk to your clients about? I'm just curious. I'm going to wait for a minute and see what you guys think in chat. See if anyone pops in an idea of why this could be useful. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to take a little pause and take a sip of my coffee here. And I want to take a look at some of the comments you guys were saying earlier as well. So, Derek, FTC safeguards have been on for a long time. In my experience with AI generation, it uses mostly historical information. Yeah, fair. And Jim says the Anthem may have been a bigger breach. Could be. I have to go and look. They changed their name because of it. Did not know that. Okay, so curious if anybody has an idea of how this is useful as a topic. I just found this by going to Reuters Momentum. So, okay, Matthias says monitoring remote employees. Good. Yes. Like this kind of idea of like, you could open up conversations with, hey, as your MSP, we have the capability of like helping you monitor some employee traffic around like categories and acceptable behavior. But have you actually ever kind of thought through what is acceptable for your company and for your company culture and for the legality of like state regulations of what you can and can't do and security? Like this opens up great strategic conversations with your clients like, yeah, no, never really thought about that before. What is legal? Maybe we should bring someone in to really assess all of that, right? So yeah, that's a great idea. What was going through my mind, Matthias, is you kind of went the corporate side. I went the consumer side in my mind. An article like this really brings up the opportunity to talk about like parental safety. This is a topic that I don't think we talk about enough in our circles, is like, how do we keep our kids safe when it comes to things like Roblox, when it comes to things like online games, when it comes to things like they all have their tablets and their phones and they have their own internet. And a lot of parents are like, yeah, especially for my younger kids, I'd love to be able to lock that stuff down, but I don't really know how. I've never really tried to do it. Whoa. What if you were to use this as a kickoff article to get people thinking, like even the companies themselves realize they can't police this correctly. So that makes you as the parent responsible for how your kids behave and what they do online, which then gives you an opportunity. What if you hosted with your local chamber an event around like kids online safety? And you talked about this article and you talked about some of the really cool things that are around that can help. Maybe you even do a quick tutorial on Apple's parental safety, like their screen time controls, all that kind of stuff. And you talked about what Google's doing on their platform. And then you talk about maybe some parental filtering stuff and maybe some apps like Bark and others that are out there, just to get them thinking, just to get them going like, that was super helpful. Once again, are you going to sell more seats by offering a talk like that? No. But are you going to get recognition in front of your clients and be seen as a thought leader and someone that's like, wow, that was really, really helpful. And you made things better. When I'm needing to solve for technology, I'm calling you. Yes, 100,000%. So just an example, literally just the first article that was right up there on Reuters Momentum. That's the one I picked, and you could use this. So you see how this can open up creativity licenses for you. Don't assume that your clients are aware of these things. Don't assume that they have all the answers. They really, really don't. Matthias says, that's an awesome idea. I get questions personally around this all the time. Yep, me too. And so what if you said, hey, local chamber, I'd love to get in front of you. This is going to be a free event. You're going to host it. You're going to promote it, but I'm going to do everything for free around online safety. Oh my gosh. I think it'd be awesome. So just getting you thinking. Another website I really like is Wired. So Wired is really good. Again, they tend to be like your most news aggregator sites. Like they're going to show you the latest, the newest. You're going to struggle to find something like 2 months old, but was heavily clicked over the past month, unfortunately. But still some great things in here. CES just happened, right? CES is cool because of gadgets, because of what's new, because of what's happening. So you might want to take a look at this and open up like, hey, let's take a look at some of the top things that were happening in technology. And maybe you peel out 2 or 3 of those things and you send this out in an email campaign of like, hey, look, we're not Amazon. We're not selling you these things, but these are like 3 really cool pieces of technology that your business may want to consider. Or like if you're looking for a gift for your kids, these are some things that could be really cool. So especially when you get into like home tech, right? And maybe that opens up opportunities for you to talk about, what kind of home technology is best and what should you consider? Should you consider an all-in system like an Alexa or a Ring? Should you go for a custom built thing? What is it that you should go for? So I don't know, but I do think CES just happened. There's some super cool articles around all of this. It could be great opportunity for you to seize on some of these things and be relevant with your clients. Maybe even go buy one of these cool things as a business expense. And then you use that to show how cool it is and how neat it is in a meeting you have with a client. Like, some of the coolest technology with a hands-on opportunity is maybe an event you do or a web stream you do or a live stream you do, right? So that's cool. It's just right on the top of Wired. So peek through some of these things, right? I'm not going to go through every one of these articles and show you, but just look, be constantly looking in your brain for not just what's interesting to you, but what might be interesting for your clients. And don't assume that they're aware of what you know, because you know a lot of things they don't. Another one is, believe it or not, CNN Business. So CNN Business has some really good stuff here. I'm going to change the view screen so you can see it a little bit better. So CNN Business has a lot of things around technology that can be really, really useful. Obviously, the political stuff, we'll skip all of that for now. But there's a lot of things that could be in here. Like, well, here's one on ChatGPT itself. So even they're talking about all of this, right? And can it be detected? There's a lot of discussions in the academic circles. Can we tell when someone wrote something off ChatGPT? Just as an example. So take a look at some of this. This one's a big one. Oh guys, this is one I would talk about all day long. You guys remember when FAA was grounded a week or two ago because of an outage? We all wondered if it was a cyber attack, but the fact that every plane in the United States of America was shut down for a short period of time because of one glitch in FAA. Oh my goodness. We see how vulnerable we actually are, don't we? Like we really, really do. What's the takeaway? You should use an article like this to share with your clients and say, same thing for you. Did you know you have some areas in your supply chain or some areas in your own business that if they got taken out and made unavailable, you come to a grinding halt? How much would that cost you? How much would that impact you? Can we game plan this a little bit? You need to know your businesses. You need to know how they make money. You need to know how they operate, but you can definitely use this to insert. This can grind FAA to a halt where every plane is sitting on the ground and cannot fly. This could happen to you. This same kind of thing could shut your business down. So can we have a strategic conversation about your most critical elements in your business so that we can work towards making sure if those things happen, or I might even say when those things happen, that you're prepared for it, that it doesn't happen to you? So I hope that's helpful. Give me some comments, questions. So just one I picked right out of CNN. Another website I like is Digital Trends. So Digital Trends is a bit more like aggregate-y, but they are definitely going to still be a lot of what's current in the news, what's the latest, newest thing, right? So keep that in mind. But I've found good things out of Digital Trends as well. So again, look through this and look for things that may matter to them and things that could be relevant in a conversation that can get things started. So that's one. And then the last one I wanted to show is also industry specifics, right? So let's say you deal with a lot of banks. One of my favorite websites is Bank Info Security. And the reason I like Bank Info Security is it's all that. It's all information security for for like credit unions, banks, and any other field, any other company in the financial services industry. So this one is awesome because it's relevant. And so this lets you shortcut it even more. And you'll discover there's a lot of like industry vertical cybersecurity news websites. And if you have a lot of banks, this has got to be daily reading for you. If you have a lot of healthcare, the Health Info Security one, you got to be in on, right? So like you just have to be relevant to your clients, and it's your job to be the translator and to take events that are in your sphere of knowledge and influence and translate them back to the client in a way that matters to them. So this one's awesome, right? So one article that I just picked right here was Lockbit. So Lockbit is under a lot, they're actually ransomware operators. So they're under a lot of like political pressure because they went after the Royal Mail. And it's just an interesting one, right? So there's a really cool article on this and how much Lockbit as the bad guys are trying to distance themselves from this attack, and just could be relevant to you to say, to really bring up this conversation of how impactful ransomware is and why it mattered in this situation and how it could impact you as a client if you were hit by it. So just wanted to share this. Bank Info Security, big fan of them. If you deal with a lot of banks, just as an example, go hunt down information security websites for help, like for other news places. So like healthcare. See, I already did this before. So healthcare cybersecurity news. And here's one. Health IT security, right? I've been there. I know this website. It's run by TechTarget. So same thing. Get used to aggregating news articles from specific industries that relate to cybersecurity and be ready to share. And what I would really encourage you to not do is don't just regurgitate it. Don't just be like, here's an article. See you later. Give them your interpretation. It could be in the form of a blog post. It could be in the form of a very short video that you made that you pop up on your YouTube channel. It could be something that you put on Facebook and you share and tag some of your friends that are relevant, that are also clients. There's a lot of ways that you can take something already been done and package it up for you and then give your analysis on it. I mean, there's a whole industry of people that literally do nothing other than just react to different things. And you could be a reactor, and in your reactions, you tie it back to the client in a way that only you can do in your locale and your style and your messaging and your approach to those unique clients. You need to do that, because I wouldn't expect them to go read healthcare IT news, but I'd expect you to do that and make it relevant to me. So consider that. Think about that. Okay. So it'll make sense so far. What we're really driving at is this is how you become relevant. This is how you secure thought leadership and mind share with your clients, is starting with the premise that I probably assume too much, that they know the things that I know. And if I throw that out there and I start making it a habit, maybe once a month, to spend a couple hours to go dig and find out what's out there that's relevant. And then when things come in front of me that I'm just seeing in my natural day to day, someone post on Reddit or whatever it is, oh, I know that's going to be valuable for clients, use it. So build a process for this and start engaging your clients. Challenge your VCIOs. Hey, what are you doing when you meet with your clients to stay relevant? Typically you meet with them once a quarter, right? That's why we call them quarterly business reviews. That's your cadence, are you really maximizing those 4 meetings a year with those clients? There's probably some things you can do in that meeting, and probably some things you can do outside of that meeting, and just email cadences and things like that around these events that attract them, that get them to think, whoa, that's really valuable. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for opening up that conversation. So there you have it. So the last thing I wanted to share is going beyond some of these things and getting a little bit more into some ideas that I think would be helpful outside of like news sites and tools. Is think about, like, I'm a big fan of like top 3 topics. So what I mean by top 3 let me see what Jim said. Jim said, I use healthcare. I use the HC one multiple times a day. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Okay. So I'm also a big fan of top 3 topics. I like top 3s because anyone that hears that is like, oh yeah, I can stick around for 3 things, right? That's not too many. In fact, that's what I'm doing with you guys. We did tools, we're doing websites. Now we're doing top 3 things. So 3 things are nice because they're digestible. We can always take 3 things. That's why we have championships and gold, silver, bronze, and all that kind of stuff, right? Everyone loves top 3s. So I want to give you a few top 3 ideas that I have in my brain, and I'm curious what some of your top 3s might be that would be useful and relevant to clients. So here's one. Top 3 ways your business could get hacked in 2023. So if you start with that premise, you say, that'd be a pretty cool thing that would be relevant to a client. Maybe you go to ChatGPT and you say, what are 3 common ways that clients get attacked? And you probably know that. You're like, probably MFA was not enabled. Probably you didn't patch something, and probably you opened a phishing email. Okay, cool. But ChatGPT can really help accelerate those things for you, right? Maybe, hey, ChatGPT, give me some statistics on phishing and why this is really important and how a client should think about defending against those attacks. Okay, cool. Got some material there. I'm going to add some things here and here and here, but you see how that's helpful? So that's one of mine. Top 3 ways your business could get hacked in 2023. That's a big one. Heather checking in. Heather, great to see you on. Heather says, let me bring this on. Top 3 things you can do this week. Yeah, so get practical, right? Like, what are 3 things you can knock out this week? I'm sure there's a business book in the back of my brain that talks about that. It's not coming to my mind, but Heather, you nailed it, right? Yes. 3 things you can do right now. That's great. Another one that I had is top 3 cybersecurity breach costs that you haven't planned for. Now, I really like that because when they think about a breach, they think, oh, paying a ransomware, maybe $20K, maybe $50K. That's a breach cost. And I'm like, no, there's probably a lot of things you haven't considered when we talk about a top 3 on breach costs. One of those would be lawsuits. Because you're out or your clients are out, there's a lot of lost business and they're coming after you for that. Another top 3 you might mention is, what about fines? You know, if you have certain businesses in certain industries, you may have regulatory fines that come into play on these things. Another one that you may have that you never planned for is just legal costs, right? In terms of like bringing in a cyber lawyer that understands how to notify clients, that understands how to handle the forensics investigation work, that understands how to deal with law enforcement, that understands how to actually defend your org when people are questioning you about a potential lawsuit, right? Just three that came out of the top of my mind. There's probably better ones, but top three breach costs that you never plan for. And what does that do? That gets them going, I hadn't thought about any of those three. Should probably think about what I can do to like make that not happen to me, right? So that's a big one. And I would encourage you to think about that. And my last one that I just wrote down was top 3 ways. This is a cool one. Listen to this one. Top 3 ways SMBs can leverage automation to drive down costs. That's a big one. And that's not necessarily security, but it's super important because what are they thinking as business owners? Is there a recession coming? What's that recession going to look like for me? Can I survive it? Do I have too much employee bloat? I think I have the ability to grow through this recession because I understand a pathway through, but I'm going to have to do it lean. So you talk about automations and you talk about maybe top 3 ways we could consider automation. Now this takes a little bit more research because you don't want to just be like, well, let's automate your RMM, tasks. Let's talk about, automating the PSA. They don't care about that. That's your job. So you're gonna have to think about automating in their business. What could you do to help them in their journey? Let's talk about a bank, right? So maybe what are some of those things where banks are really struggling? And you may have to open up some conversations with them before. And you might reach out to one of your bank clients and be like, hey, can you talk to us about, I'm building a blog post around automation. Can you give me 2 or 3 big priorities your bank has this year around automation and give me some ideas of like what you're doing to help it? And that might give you opportunities to help them to jump in, to find billable hours, but more than anything, just to help them in that discussion around some things that they hadn't thought of that make them go, yeah, wow, that's really valuable. I want to listen to that. I want to know more about that. Can you take a look at my business processes and help me understand where we have some hiccups and gaps? And I'm telling you, if you'll spend time doing that as an MSP, you'll discover a lot of billable hours that come across. So you'll be like, are you really doing that? Are you really taking that PDF and printing that and then scanning that thing and then adding that to an email attachment and sending it to someone else? Are you kidding? We can like automate all of that away. And you'd be shocked that a lot of businesses do stuff like that because they don't know a better way. And so getting into that can be a really, really, really big one. All right. What else do we have coming in here from you awesome folks? Derek, so that's a big one, especially with tight labor, wage inflation, and unknown economic conditions. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Jim's doing some mic dropping. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Ooh, this is a really good one from Jim. I just saw come in. Top 3 legal responsibilities you may be liable for if you're hacked. Yeah. So some of these are not just natural top 3s. You might have to do a little work to get there, but that means it's going to be all the better because if you don't have the answer to it, probably they don't either. And so these are opportunities for you to jump right into their brain, get their mind share, get them listening, get them relying on you as a thought leader. You're not just the IT guy. You're the person that's truly helping them grow in their business. Okay. So there we have it. Got about 3-4 minutes left on this live stream. So just some takeaways, right? That I think are helpful. One is the things that you hear quite a bit just in your day-to-day, in your own circles are probably unknown among your clients. So when you hear things that are just starting to emerge, just know you're probably at the very beginning of that bell curve of knowledge. Right. And you should take that as like, man, all of us IT nerds are talking about this thing. There's some angle of relevancy to my client. So how do I do that? How do I adopt it? And the more you do that and practice it and try it, the more you're going to get better at it. So that's the first big takeaway. The things you hear quite a bit in your own circles are probably unknown among your clients. The second big takeaway is the fact that you know even one thing that they don't when it comes to like technology makes you the leader. And I mean that. So ChatGPT, you're like, okay, I've heard Wes talking about it for a month now. Still haven't logged in. The fact that you know about it and they don't is a big step. So don't be afraid of things that you only know a little bit about. A lot of times I hear people like, yeah, I heard about that, but I'm not an expert on it. I logged into it and I used it just a little bit. I don't know a lot about it. So they know nothing. So you already know more than they do. And probably 30 minutes to an hour of just basic kind of diving in research and looking at something gives you enough information to be relevant to them. All you got to do is lead that horse to water. You are the leader. You got to take the advantage to do that. So that's the takeaway number 2. The fact that you even know something about it makes you the leader. Don't Don't let imposter syndrome slip in on you and you lose opportunity. Okay. And then the third thing, find news or technology that does one of two things. So when you're doing what I was showing you on these news and websites, you're looking for two things to come across your brain. First thing is, does this enable their business? Does this idea, does this news article, does this topic, does this give them the ability to do something better? Does it enable them further? Or the second thing, does it protect their business? Or is it a threat that you should do something to protect your business? Those are the two frameworks that I use all the time. When I'm looking for something that's going to be relevant to a client, does it enable them? Does it protect them? Ideally, if it's both together, you got a rock star topic. If you got one of the two, it's going to be a winner. And it doesn't always have to be their business. Remember, we went back to the whole Roblox thing? And we talked a little bit about how that could be useful for like parental controls. Protect their children. That's something everybody cares about, period. End of story. So think about it from that perspective. Those two, does it enable or does it protect? If it does one of those two things, it's probably relevant for me to share in just my own prepackaged or my own way, not just prepackaged out of the site, but in my own way. So there you have it. I hope that was helpful. I hope this was a useful live stream for you. And what I'd love to hear in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is some wins from you. Reach out, DM me on some wins of like, whoa, this was really helpful. I did this with a client and it resonated. It turned into XYZ opportunity. I want to hear wins that you have. At the very beginning, a few of you shared some wins. So if you haven't and want to share them the last minute we have available, share me your wins, baby. I'd love to know some areas where you've leveraged things like this to stay relevant and not just be an assumer that they know the things that we know. All right. So I hope this was good. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, reach out. If you want to check out what we're doing at Empath Cyber, reach out anytime, empathcyber.com. Love to have you in. Love to have you check it out. And I hope these things give you some tools as you go down your journey. If you just joined us late, go watch the rest of the live stream. We talked about all of some really cool tools that could be used in client conversations that really get your clients knowing and going in a better way. If I can ever help you in any way, reach out. Bob, checking in. Bob, thank you. Appreciate that so very much. Okay, my friends, I'm going to leave it here. We are at bingo. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining today. Share this with a friend. Hit the like button. All those good things that we always say to do. It really goes a really long way. Thanks.